Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about a request I received over email.com, and it goes as follows. Dear Martin, in your experience as a Chadberg, would you say that having glasses is a plus or a minus in terms of attracting women? Well, my friend, there's the old saying, if you have glasses, she passes. If you wear glasses, you get less asses. That's our starting point. I'm not saying it's always the case, but it's a decent foundation. Now, some of you, of course, are going to push back and be like, that's not true. Look at those posts on Instagram. And it goes like, guys who wear glasses, just girly things. But if you notice, most of those dudes are like models who happen to have specs. So they've got a pretty solid fighting chance to begin with. And even the movies where the nerd gets the hot girl, the so-called nerd is typically a very handsome guy. It's sort of like the Tom Welling wearing glasses phenomenon. The only exception I can think of is that movie with Jay Baruchel and Alice Eve. Another one in the long line of Seth Rogen burping and farting movies, although I don't think he's in that movie, and I don't think he's burping and farting, but I'm just pointing it out to you. So, why is that? Some people say on an evolutionary basis women perceive glasses as a sign of a genetic deficiency. I don't think you even have to go that far, though. I think it's just social acculturation, and most of us have this bias of sorts, the way that we look at people based upon their appearance. If you think about it, Rick Perry, very handsome guy, has that kind of rugged Johnny Thunder, Indiana Jones look, and you could imagine him as a young man doing very well with women. Well, at a certain point, he started wearing those plastic black, Ray-Bans style glasses, and he just looks like a clown. I mean, you can compare the pictures. It's night and day once he's got those specs on. When we just look at people in general, we assume things because they have glasses. So I grew up, I was quite athletic. I did martial arts. I was into public affairs, speaking, leadership style stuff. But people always assumed, you must be a nerd who's antisocial, plays video games because you wear glasses, right? That's the assumption. Intellectual, reading, maybe MMO, RPGs. That's what most people tend to coalesce around. And on the flip side, you typically expect someone who's like an athlete or let's say a military commander, you're anticipating them to have a particular image. Now, there are some exceptions, of course. In fact, I think it was Teddy Roosevelt that he grew up trying to play baseball. His parents didn't want him to because they thought he would break his glasses, and he hated that image. So he tried to cultivate the I'm a badass, Rough Riders, that sort of thing. There's also Drozma in Yugoslavia, and I want to do some content on him, but I've not been able to find a good source in English. Even if you look at, for instance, the fascist regime, most of the quadrumvirs who founded the fascist party or the movement were all kind of stereotypically intense, badass Italian-looking dudes. And then you had Michele Bianchi, the syndicalist. There's a portrait of him where he's got all the accoutrements, the regalia, the uniform, which looks good. But then he's got these big, wide-framed, circular glasses, and it makes him appear as though he's cross-eyed or rolling his eyes, so it just takes away from the image. Similarly, I don't know how, who was his name? Himmler became head of the SS, the elite division, because Himmler had glasses, but also that sort of bubble neck chin thing. And I'll expand on that in just a little bit because it's a very important subject for us to be discussing. Another quick point, of course, with Pol Pot, he put people in concentration camps and had them shot just because they wore glasses, and he said, you are an intellectual and you'll be more likely to question the Khmer Rouge and communist dogma. So it does show you the extents to which we associate particular things with a person based upon their appearance. Now you ask, why is it an issue? I mean, it's not the end of the day, to be clear, but think about it like this. Glasses tend to enhance tend to enhance features, but not forcibly in the way you want them to. So for instance, myself, I've got large ears, which is supposed to be a sign of intelligence, although I don't really buy it. And I've got not a beak, but I have a prominent nose, like a Roman nose. Well, what happens is those things in of themselves aren't a problem. I have a fairly symmetrical face, but when you put glasses on, it enhances all of them. It exaggerates them. So they become more visible, and it throws off the overall balance. In particular, glasses make your eyes look larger, but not necessarily in the way that you want. So to be clear, there's a lot about human eye contact that goes into seduction, mating, romance, whatever, and it's typically laid aside by these people who try to teach you how to romance folks. If you have very intense, piercing, or dramatic eyes, whether they're blue, in my case I have dark green eyes, which is a little bit rare, that can be exceptionally valuable. And with the Polynesian people, they were typecast as being these feral, love savages, and in reality they had a very complex mating dance pattern, and it all focused on eye contact, which is why if you notice, dudes who tend to not do well with women don't even bother making eye contact with them. They'll just kind of look away, look down. Well, eye contact is important. You want a girl to fall in love with you or find you attractive, you have to look at her in the eyes, and that's a challenge for a lot of men for whatever reason. Well, at any rate, the other thing that glasses tend to do is if you have what I call the infant with a 5 o'clock shadow or the bearded baby phenomenon, this is where basically you have, let's say, extra skin around the neck or a very doughy set of cheeks. By cheeks, I mean on your face, just to be clear. What it does is it makes your entire face look kind of round. And if you couple that with the obligatory stubble or 5 o'clock shadow, plus oftentimes it brings out the lips and makes the lips look larger, you just look like this kind of man baby who hasn't shaved. And it's not ideal, and wearing glasses actually makes that worse because it's more visible for whatever reason. So that's not to say that if you wear glasses it's a huge impediment, but it's not really helpful. So if you're on a dating app, try to not wear them, at least in the primary pictures, or if you're going to wear them, don't wear them all the way, like have them on the edge of the nose looking over, condescending professor appearance, that's not a terrible thing. Or if you can get contacts, or wear the clear frame ones. If not the clear frame, then the ones that don't have a frame around the lenses themselves, because that'll at least diminish the effect of it kind of taking over your face, like the Venom monster serum in Spider-Man does. So that's the whole thing. Glasses, unfortunately, can throw off a very natural, effective-looking face, so if you can avoid it, or at least avoid it when it comes to certain pictures or presentation, it's a benefit. But otherwise, you got to make do with what you have. But I haven't found it personally to be a huge impediment, but I will see the difference. So if I put up a picture on a dating app and I don't have them on, you get a lot more matches than if you do wear glasses. It's just the way it is. We associate certain things. People tend to be superficial, and I'm not really attacking women for this, by the way. Because usually when I see a girl with glasses, I have the same reaction. I'm like, yeah, she's probably, not a lot of fun, boring, whatever. So it's not a terrible conclusion to make, but you just got to make do with what you have.